Brand new to Tackle Club, we have the saltwater inshore box. Now don't worry, if you're already subscribed to one of the other boxes, you can log in and change your subscription. So if you want to change from a Bass and Yellers or a cod box over to the saltwater inshore, you can log on to tackleclub.com.au and change your subscription. But for now, let's jump in and have a look what's included in this packed box for this month and the first for saltwater inshore. First up, we have the Chase Baits Ultimate Squid and the Chase Baits The Squid Rig. These are a ½ ounce with a 3/0 single assist hook on them. But essentially all you do, you'll see a rod down the middle of the jig head. You're going to push this from the head of the squid, coming out down the bottom near the tentacles. Once it comes out down the bottom, you're going to thread on your single assist hook. Now this also fixes a common issue that they had with previous rigging systems, or just essentially rigging on a normal jig head. A lot of anglers found that, or say if you're chasing kingfish, they would just come and bite the tentacles right off and completely miss the hook on a normal jig head. By rigging it up this way, you not only add flash and vibration to the squid, but you're dropping that single assist hook down into the tentacles, turning any missed hits into a hooked and hopefully landed fish. Now as you look closely into these, you can see they haven't skimped out on any detail. They've got these little fins down the side of the squid's head, which is going to give off plenty of vibration and a nice smooth swimming action to the squid. There's also plenty of detail in all the tentacles, making it a very lifelike bait to throw around for your favourite saltwater inshore species. This time of year, I'm probably going to be targeting snapper. Maybe you can go for the odd kingfish as well, but I'm mainly thinking snapper at this stage. You can fish these fairly slow because they do create a lot of action even on a very slow retrieve. Some anglers will even just tie them on, cast them out, let them sink down and stick the rod holder or rod straight in the rod holder and just let it bob up and down with the motion of the boat while you're casting out some other lures. You can also just do a cast and retrieve or even jig these vertically as well. They can be fished in many, many ways. And with the weight that's in these jig heads, you're going to be sure that you can fish multiple depths of the water column. Next up, we've got a hard body option in the Rapala Magnum dive bait. This one here is going to dive about 10 foot deep and is going to be a great trolling option or even casting option if that's more your thing. But I'm more thinking trolling up some pelagics. Troll up some mackerel, or if in the casting, look for some shelf edges or reef edges. It's going to be great just to cast up along that edge, get twitchy, roll it along. But I'm thinking more of a troll option. Troll up some mackerel, even troll up some snapper. If you find some school up snapper, you can troll this straight through them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they jumped on as well. A lot of people are slowly figuring out that trolling for snapper is a great option if you don't want to vertically jig for them or do a cast and retrieve. So that's the Rapala Magnum dive bait in a 10 foot. Next up is actually one of my favorite ways to fish. This here is Damiki backdrop jig, otherwise known as a micro jig. You're going to work this fairly slow, but it's pretty easy to work. If you haven't jigged before, it is very, very simple. Drop it out straight down to the bottom. I like to wind, maybe do like a quarter or a half crank of the handle or just a slight lift, just so the jig's not sitting on the bottom, just off the bottom there, and just up and down slowly with your rod. And you'll actually feel this jig as it flutters back down to the bottom of the water column. It's often on the drop where you get the hit as well. Now once I've done, 2, 3, 4 lifts, I'll actually do a wind, either on the up if I want to make it look like it's darting up, or I'll wind back down, which makes it just a slower flutter. Then that way, by winding that extra line, you're now jigging slightly shallower than you were before. Keep keep doing that same motion. 1, 2, 3, another wind up, and maybe once you get halfway up the water column, drop it back down again, unless the fish are sitting pretty high up. But most of the time you're going to be jigging the side of a shipwreck, maybe a reef or something, so you're probably going to try and keep the jig closer to the bottom. But that's the Damiki backdrop jig. Next up, we've got a vibe lure. This is a soft plastic vibe lure, the Berkeley Shimmer Shad. Now, the best way to rig these, in my opinion, is with a loop knot. This is going to give you maximum vibration and the most action out of your vibe lure. Now, what makes these a little bit different to other vibe lures is that they do have a pretty big paddle tail on the back. So you are getting a little bit of extra movement and a little bit of extra vibration with this vibe, not just the traditional vibration of the lure. Now, this can be casted and retrieved just with a slow roll, is probably my favorite, or worked vertically again, up and down. If I'm gonna work it vertically though, I'm gonna drop it to the bottom and then just real short, sharp jerks. Get this thing just vibrating like a crazy, crazy little bait fish. Probably won't be casting and retrieving too much over some shallow reefs, because with the trebles, you'll probably find that you snag up a fair bit. But at least with all these, you've got your trolling option, you've got a slow bait in your chase bait squid, and then you've got a slow pitch jig. So you're covering a lot of bases here. And then last but not least, we've included the Damiki Armor Shad in a 5-inch with some 3/8 3/0 extra heavy gauge hooks. Now, this time of year, I'm probably going to be using these to chase snapper. Don't get me wrong though, if you do see some busting up tuna, these are going to be a great option for that as well. Just work it a lot quicker. Cast it out into the middle of a tuna. Don't really let it sink. Maybe let it sink like a foot or two, and then a fairly quick wind back. Pretty much you're going to burn it, and tuna will smash these. Now, if you're going to be fishing deeper water for some reef fish or for some snapper, the extra weight of the 3/8 jig head should get you down there. And you can work these vertically as well. I like to get a little bit hoppy with it. So sink it back down, go hop, 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 wind in your slack line, hop, 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 again, wind in your slack line. If I've got halfway up the water column without a hit, then I'm gonna drop it back down and do it all again. You can also cast and retrieve and cover a lot of ground over some shoals or some reefs as well. So with this pack, it's absolutely maxed out this month. But you've got everything to cover all sorts of bases. You've got your trolling option, you've got your squid for a slow presentation, your vertical jig, you've got your vibe, and then you've got your soft plastics. A lot of value in this box this month, and it's a great way to start the saltwater inshore box this month. But that's it for the box. A fair bit in here this month, but if you want to check out this box or any of the other boxes in the range, just head over to www.tackleclub.com.au, pick a box that's right for you, and welcome to the club.